Welcome to the RVA Returners Podcast, your weekly source for all things Final Fantasy TCG.
I've actually, speaking of which, I actually bought a bunch of the pieces so I could actually, give Earthwind a try for the first time in my life. It's not my favorite, and I feel dirty for wanting to play it, but I feel like I should learn how to play it. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, it's not gonna go anytime soon.
Yeah, well, no, it's absolutely not until they possibly look at another banned or restricted list, which I hope they don't do. But you know what I hope happens? It's happening as we speak, Adam. It's the next episode of the RVA Returners Podcast. Good morning. How are you doing today, Adam?
Kind of tired.
Yeah, me too. I had a big day at the movies yesterday, which doing nothing really wears you out for some reason. Guys, I'm your host, Chris Adams, and with me, as always, Adam Lane. So, kind of a lighter week this week, but you know what? We always find something to talk about here. So to keep the masses entertained. And, we're just going to dive in. This is our first cast of 2019. We are starting the new year off right. And we're going to start 2019 off like we start every other episode off, Adam. And you know what that is. Oh, it's the news. How now, brown cow? Right. So yeah, we got lighter news this week. Not a whole lot going on, but the big thing we kind of wanted to talk about news-wise was, at the end of 2018, I guess it was last week, and the weeks are kind of running together at this point. The Tantalus and the Chocobros did their awards event. I know you and I were on at different times. I was away. I was out of town with family, and you actually accepted the award that we won.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so I thought it was done very well. I actually went back and watched the video on demand. I can't remember all the winners, but it was done very well. It was really cool to kind of have everybody come on and have people. I got to present one of the awards as well. But I guess what I want to say is I just want to thank everybody who actually was involved in the voting process, and thank you for rating us as like the best podcast.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like best content creator / podcast or something. But whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big honor, to be honest. It means like people are kind of picking up what we're putting down, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they smell what the Rock is cooking over here.
Yeah.
But and that's a good thing, right? Because I know when we started doing this, we just there wasn't really many resources out there, and we just wanted people to not have to go through the same shit that we did, right? We wanted people to like, oh, I want to play this game, but I can't really find any videos, or I can't really do anything. I want to hear people talking about it, so I want to make sure that the ideas I'm having aren't full of shit.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it started as the podcast, right? Like I think, and we were just like, let's just do something where we get to talk about the game more. Which
it was me, you, and your brother, man, the good old days.
Yeah, and I mean, at first I was like, this isn't gonna go anywhere. Like it's fine, but it's fun. And then it kind of took off, and then we started doing like the YouTube thing, and then
the website.
Yeah, then we got involved with Adam and other Adam, not me. And the website, and now we're kind of juggling all that stuff and trying to keep constantly putting stuff out for everybody to stuff like you. And I mean, mainly we're kind of covering the competitive scene, but I think we're planning on doing like budget stuff and stuff for newer players.
Yeah, and like fun cards. I know I could just kind of, I guess, almost do a little spoiler. I know one of the things I want to do is a change my mind kind of segment, because there's some cards I feel very strongly about, and I don't think they're great. So I want to just kind of talk about, focus on a card on each episode and just pretty much have people change my mind on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that could be really a fun idea. And like I definitely want to do a tutorial series, like going from like really basic stuff all the way to like more intricate stuff with like using the stack and stuff like that, so that people understand how it works. Yeah,
absolutely. So what you're saying is we've got a lot coming down the pipe here in 2019.
I mean, yeah, we put out a lot of videos like within the last couple of weeks, to be honest.
We have probably more in the last couple of weeks than we had in the previous like months.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to like push forward. Like, I mean, we took a break for like the holidays, and I wanted to have out a bunch of stuff for like the current meta going into the Petite Cup season with their reunion and stuff. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so that's it as far as the awards go. Again, a huge thank you for everybody involved in that process. It was a really good time. I can't wait to see how it goes next year.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun next year too, and probably more improved too, like even better.
No, I agree. It'll be a lot cleaner next year, and they're off to a great start already. And then the last piece of news is, Adam, I'm looking at my calendar here, we're flying out this Friday for the reunion.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
I'm super excited. I got even more excited when I know a while back Lockwood was asking people about like the like choose a job that resonates with you kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I saw, we finally got to see what that was for. We got like name badges that have those jobs on it as well, which is really, really cool. That's going to be, take everything else out of the equation. I think that's going to be a nice little memento to have just for that awesome weekend hanging out with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good idea, honestly. I told James that too. Like, it's such a simple, great idea to do that. Like, it doesn't take much more effort to do that. You're just printing out an extra line of text, really, on a thing. Mm-hmm. But now you have, like, a one-of-one, like this is, you're never going to have this somewhere. Well, unless someone else does it, right? Like, but right now, like, he's the only person that's done this. And I think that's a really cool idea. And I didn't even know that was what it's for when I wrote my job down. But
I thought it was just for something random, exactly.
Yeah. But, I mean, I've always kind of identified with that job anyways. It's funny. Like, I kind of wanted that job to be in 14, but they're never going to put that job in 14.
No, that's fair. That's kind of how I felt about the one that I picked as well, which which was Warrior of Light, obviously. So I thought that was just a good classic Final Fantasy trope, and I thought it was a really, really neat idea, and I cannot wait to get down there, hang out with everybody, call the shots with Matt Rice in the booth. It's just going to be a great weekend, just an absolute great weekend.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'll be playing.
Yeah, and good luck to you there. So I will definitely be cheering you on from the booth. Unbiased, of course, obviously.
It's fine to be biased from the booth, right? People do that shit all.
I'm gonna be like Jim Ross. Just every time you make a killer play, if you're on stream, I'm just gonna, my God, don't do it. He has a family. It'll be fun. But yeah, that's all the news we have. Again, not much going on. There's a lot more stuff coming down the pipe. We expect the Crystal Cup dates to be released soon, so people can start planning accordingly. We're keeping our ears to the streets. Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal, get to the streets, making sure we catch everything when it happens. With that being said, we're just going to kind of go right into our main topics for this week. I want to talk about, and it's kind of funny, I had written these down that we were going to talk about these, and then we got everything set up for the Cactar correspondence, and one of the questions was one of the things I wanted to talk about here. So, kind of a small spoiler, I guess, I know the Cactar correspondence will be out later this week. But the first thing I want to talk about is Adam. What was your favorite moment from 2018? We started this back in February. Our first competitive event was ARG Charlotte, and then we had the Kefka Cup like that same week, leading up to now. What was your favorite moment? You can only pick one. I know there was a lot of good ones, and this is almost a loaded question. What was your favorite moment from 2018?
Yeah, I have a lot that I enjoyed. Every like tournament I went to was a lot of fun. But if I had to pick one, it probably is going to be Gen Con. And if I had to pick one specific moment at Gen Con, it'll probably be like the limited tournament that I played in. But the dinner was pretty good too. There.
Sure.
So that's probably like 1 and 2 for me, honestly. The fact that like we got there like what time that morning? I don't even remember. It was like 3 or 4.
3, 4, yeah.
And then barely didn't I don't even think I really got any sleep. And then we went to get our badges and had to wait in that long line, still on basically no sleep. And then I guess I hit like a second win someplace, I don't know, and played cards all day, all the way to finals, and then lost. But it was a lot of fun.
Didn't you crash after that? Did you sleep the rest of the day?
I think I came back to the Airbnb. It was like 8 or 9, and we tried to play a couple games, and then I just kind of passed out.
So, that's where you messed up, man. You should have did what I did when we got there and had Rob and Joe shove whiskey down your throat like they did for me. It was I could have thought of a better way to start the day.
I don't think that would have led to a top 4 or finals performance if I'd done that.
Well, maybe. You never know. But you don't want to change anything you did, because clearly it got you to the promised land almost.
Yeah, if I would have done that, I probably would have been in the secret bathroom doing the damage at some point.
I hear that. That secret bathroom was already damaged up. But no, Gen Con was an awesome weekend, and it was hard to top that, right? But if I had to pick my favorite moment from 2018, I'm going to have to say like number 1 and 2 were really close, and I'll say what my number 1 is, then I'll just say what my number 2 is because it's not my favorite, but it was really close. Top favorite moment was hanging out at Nationals in the Jersey Boys room, playing cards with Kody the night before day 2.
Yeah, that was fun too. I was there for that.
It was, our man Levi, which, by the way, quick congratulations. I know his local community, the one that he's a part of, won the December community contest. So big shout outs to Levi and the boys. But yeah, he was in there. Andy, Jonathan, John, Dan, Kody. We were all just sitting there just crushing brews. I want to say Nick Schnell was in there for a little bit. Mike Hunsinger was in there. We were just hanging out, crushing some brews, drinking some booze, doing the now necessary wine bottle share with Andy Carmona, and just jamming cards, and I just kept shoving Renoa down Cody's throat, like not physically, but a very metaphorically kind of way.
Yeah, I think I was playing Street Fighter with Andy for a while.
You were, yeah. It was just a great night, like that. Like those are the things that I really enjoy doing when I travel to these events and hang out with the community. It's all about just hanging out with people. Playing some cards here and there, but just really enjoying everybody's company. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, look at what my number 2 was, right? Like, my number 1 was my best tournament performance, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think really it was kind of special. It's because, like, I felt, like, exhausted that entire day. But,
mm-hmm.
But like, my number 2 was going out to dinner, right? Like, I mean, that should say something, right? Like, I mean, I won a couple tournaments here locally that were decent sized, and I did decent in some other tournaments, but like I'm gonna choose the dinner over that, right?
Absolutely. And my number 2 moment is not the note I wrote on David's deck list. Mm-hmm. So that's not my number 2. My number 2, since we're kind of sharing the second one, my number 2 was actually the Boston Crystal Cup, because it was the first Crystal Cup in North America. Made the top 16 for that one, so it felt really good having making a name for I kind of put myself out there on the first one. In the morning of the tournament, a bird shit on me. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah, it was in the episode. If you go back and listen to it, we talked about it.
Yeah. Exactly. It was so that, and then like I'll never forget. That was like our first top 16, and Kageyama gave us this really awesome like pep talk right before it started. Just a really really great event, and just being able to explore Boston a little bit. The cannoli shop was fantastic. So that's my number 2. It was a very, very close, but man, just Nationals was just that weekend where everybody was a part of it. And also in Boston, like had we known the community a little bit better at that point, that could have easily been my number 1. But everybody was still kind of new.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we didn't really know everybody at that point. We knew who people were, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was weird. It was weird that people knew who we were. So it was kind of a neat, it was neat. It was just a neat kind of paradigm shift from then to Nats, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so like those were our top moments, and we can't wait to see what happens in 2019, what kind of moments we make going, into this year. So I can't think of a better segue, Adam. Let's talk about, what, obviously we've kind of mentioned before what we want to do with our, our team and our channel in 2019. But I don't think we've ever really ironed out like what it is we're really trying to do. So I'm gonna give you the mic. I want you to talk about like some of your goals and kind of New Year's resolutions. What are you looking to get out of 2019 from a TCG standpoint?
I mean, yeah. So for me, it's like 2 different kinds of goals, I guess. Like my goals as a content creator and my goals as a player. So as a content creator, obviously, like I want to stream more. And I think we're going to start doing that hopefully soon, probably like alternate weekly so that nobody's getting burned out, and probably stream some Octagon, stream like our testing for events and stuff. And then as well as like, keep doing the videos. We're obviously doing a lot more videos. We're going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to keep trying to make the website as best as I can. I'm not a website developer or anything, but I feel like I've kind of made it look a little better.
Well, the new website looks great.
Yeah, and then, continue with the podcast stuff. That's not stopping anytime soon. I want to make sure we're still doing that weekly, with the obvious breaks, of course. Like, we still have to have family time and stuff. Mm-hmm. We're not going to let this, like, burn us out and kill us, right? But, we got 4 people that are willing to continue to put up content. I guess the big thing that I want to see from us is more articles. A lot of people ask us for articles, and I know I'm not the best writer, to be honest, but I do want to try to do that because obviously people want that. And I mean, a lot of our content right now is in YouTube form, which I prefer, but obviously, like, we got to cater to as many people as we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then as a player, I mean, obviously the big goal would I want to win a Crystal Cup. I guess that would be my big goal.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to. Like, I'm not going to be distraught if I can't win one or something, but that would be the goal I'd want to set for myself. At least, like, try to get to Worlds somehow if I can. But, like, small goals, obviously, like, I want to qualify for Nationals again. I want to stream events too, right? And that's going to be hard. I have to figure out how to juggle that and play and not get not stream so much that I become disinterested with the game, but I still want, because my heart, I still want to play, and that's kind of a hard balance to find. So, I mean, other than that, yeah, I mean, basically just to make Worlds, right? I feel like I don't want to say that. Like, my goal is not to win Worlds, because I'd love to win Worlds, but I'd rather get there first. Like, that would be my main goal, I think.
Sure, dip your toes in the pool first before you dive in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel that too, because mine are actually very similar. It is a two-part kind of answer. On the content side, I definitely want to be more involved in the video side of it. For a while there, I didn't have anything set up. My computer had crashed and all that. But now that I'm up and running again, I can start pumping out videos and helping with that. So, yeah, same thing. My content creator goal is to just put out as much content, and I'll try my hand at writing an article or two. I tend to write how I speak, which, it's when you look, when you're talking like structure and, proper, I guess, sentence structure and things like that, it probably is not the greatest. So, I'll give it a shot, but I can't promise like top shelf stuff coming coming from my pen. And then as a player, like, my goals are a little more, also let me back up. I do want to strike that balance between playing and streaming, and it does help having us as a team where we can say, all right, I'll stream this one, you play this one, I'll play this one, you stream this one. We can kind of share the load in that regard. But finding that balance is just kind of a goal in and of itself, because I think once you find it, you're like, all right, cool, I can do these and then stream these and do these and stream these. And then as a player, 2018 was a good year for me as a player. There was only 2 tournaments that I went to that I didn't make top cut in. But the thing is, I never won a single event. I won maybe a weekly here and there, but I don't, I'm not counting those. But like, as far as like tournaments go, I'd make top 8, I'd make top 16, I'd make top 4, I'd make it to the finals. But I never won an event in 2018.
Right.
So my simple goal, my first goal, is actually to just win an event. Just to win an event. That's I don't care how big it is, I don't care how small it is. I want to be the one in that first place spot when it's over. I don't care, I don't care, what I have to do to get there. What deck I have to play, what size the event is. I want to just be the one to say, all right, cool, I went to this event and I won it. I don't want to say, I made top 4, I made top 8, I made it to finals but lost. I don't want to have another season of that. So that's the first goal. The next goal is to actually qualify for nationals again, but that kind of goes hand in hand with winning an event. No more of this second place bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then lastly, a goal that it's kind of further out down the path. I would like to win a Crystal Cup, but that's, I'm one to like baby step it. Like, if I can't do that this season, I'll do it next season. But my primary goal is to actually win an event. And I'm not talking like a weekly. I'm talking like, I want to go to a Petite Cup and win it. I want to go to a Crystal Cup. I want to go to a Pennsylvania cash tournament and win it. I want to go, I want to take a Soldier Series event and win it. I don't want to, I want to start the I guess the journey on the right foot. Because the rest of it will fall into place if I can get that first goal. So real quick, he just joined us, and I got to give him shit because we had a special guest lined up this week, and he I guess he may have had a big night last night, drinking some of his favorite crud lights and hanging out with the boys. But we've got Mr. Kody Snodgrass on the podcast for the first time. That's long overdue with us. Good morning, Lady Laterton.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
No, man, thanks for being here. So now we can, really you didn't miss much. You just missed the news. I was really hoping you would have an Okimoto moment where I'd go to do it and you would just say it. So, you could kind of, give yourself that moment of immortality.
That's my favorite part of the whole podcast too, is the sound effect.
I wanted you to be the soundbite this week, but Kody, I'm gonna bring you up to speed. So, what was your favorite moment of 2018?
I'd have to say probably my favorite moment would be Gen Con.
That was Adam's fun.
The Gen Con Crystal Cup. Like the night we all went out to dinner. That was just a good night. I wish we would have all been able to hang out a lot more and realize how close we were all staying together. But this year it'll be a lot different, I think. And then for a close second, I'd probably say the Crystal Cup in Kansas. Just because obviously I got to meet you and Adam and like Sam and Zach and got like my first real taste of like competitive play. So.
No, I hear that, man. That was a great way to start that weekend when you walked up to us and were like, "Hey, where's Top 8 Johnny?" We were like, "Oh shit, people listen to us."
No, yeah, absolutely. And I was super nervous. I was like, "Oh man, these guys are like famous in this game. I gotta." No.
Oh, that nerd famous, man.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right there now. But we saw the really clean hair. We were like, "That's a guy who got his shit together."
Somewhat, yeah.
Turns out we were right. And so excellent moments. Actually, you share your moment was actually the exact same as Adam, except his moment was the obviously the limited Crystal Cup. So y'all were on the same page there as far as the weekend. And then his second moment was actually going out to dinner that night with everybody, which was a really good time. That was in my top 5 for sure. It was absolutely great, absolutely great. That's the whole weekend in general, and I can't wait to do it again. But Kody, now looking forward, we're going to 2019. What are you trying to get out of the competitive season, or what are your goals? What do you want to do in 2019?
Usually, at the very least, I would like to qualify for nationals. But since it's in the U.S. this year, obviously, it'd be really nice to qualify for Worlds because then it's just in California. I think regardless, I will still attend Worlds as long as they'll let us do something there. Like I know I had friends that could still go to Worlds because they were over in London. But yeah, that's pretty much just qualify for nationals. That's usually the goal for me.
Just kind of baby step it. Yeah, no, I hear that, man. That'd be nice for that to happen for me this year too. So that's on the list.
Yeah, and just being able to attend all the nationals so far is just a cool feeling. Yeah,
kind of go make it 3 for 3. I see.
Right.
So now the next thing, and Kody, before we get into like the main topic, I want your opinion on something. We've got a petite cup here in Richmond. Me and Adam have been tossing around ideas to promote the one that's happening here. We've thought about going wrestling themed, like cutting promos, maybe get players to do like a wrestling style shoot interview that are coming. We have Colin won the title tournament in Pennsylvania, so he's got an actual wrestling belt with like the Final Fantasy trading card game like name and like logo on it. What do you think of that?
Oh, that'd get me there in a heartbeat. If we could cut promos. No, I think that'd be an awesome idea.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to get your hot take on that, and I think that could be the direction we're going. We just we're kind of baby stepping it. We got to do the reunion first, then we're coming back from that.
The reunion's next weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, we're flying out Friday.
Awesome. Yeah. Square Enix hasn't sent out any like petite cup posters or anything like that. Like,
no, they haven't. I made my own. Yeah, I made like my own flyer for it.
Yeah, and unless Buckley's got something that we don't know about yet, we haven't seen anything or heard anything yet. But who knows? It could be coming in the next couple weeks. But otherwise, I mean, we're getting prepared now to really hype it up. We want this thing to cap out.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so the main topic, competitive season's starting up really this weekend. We all know the state of the meta. Wind and Wind X decks are kind of, the cat's pajamas right now. That's what everybody's talking about. That's what everybody's playing. You'll start looking at lists, and usually sprinkled in the top 8 are Wind, Wind Water, Wind Earth. Kody, I want to talk to you, specifically, what other decks? Because you're known for playing Wind Water, but you're also known for playing those Frosty boys, that mono ice. What other decks are people just not talking about that I think that the meta is still wide open? It's not just these 3 decks. There's tons of other things to play. What do you think is either A, preventing people from playing these, or where do you think these decks are kind of falling in right now in conjunction with, we'll call it the big three, you know, the Kevin Garnett, the Paul Pierce, and the Ray Allen of the meta right now?
First of all, I love the reference because I'm a Celtics fan.
Thank you.
But outside of that, obviously, tempo ice or like mid-range ice is still very good right now. Sephiroth added a lot to that deck. The deck feels a little bit more top-heavy now. Just because a lot of the great forwards are pretty expensive. But at the same time, you also got Laswell added, so I think that added a little bit more to the deck as well. Outside of that, also, I'm sure people are still talking about Mono Water Fusoya. I still see that at locals every week, and I still think that deck's very great. But outside of those two, I mean, I'd love to say Mono Fire. I have that sleeved up, but I don't think it's that great, unfortunately.
Are you playing like the Warriors of Light version that a lot of people? No. Okay.
No, I was playing like kind of like just big guys like Lon and Jet, and just testing like a bunch of the new cards.
I've tried that too. It's hit or miss. It depends on the game. Like sometimes it draws really well, and you get to do cool stuff with Lon, and then sometimes Lon just dies.
Yeah, it seems like him and Yuri, like every time I play one of them, they're just gone.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, I guess my question is, in your Mono Fire list, and I think this is the Chevrolet keys to victory. How many Edgars are you running?
All right, you know the answer to this question.
So it's 3, right?
For the sake of the podcast, yeah, it's 3.
Fair.
It's 0. There's 0 in mine too, Kody. It's okay.
We'll see, and that's the problem. I'm telling you, you heard it here first. Put 3 Edgars and 3 Sabins in your Mono Fire deck. You'll feel so much better.
I'm not even running Sabin anymore. It's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. And we'll talk about that in a second. It sucks when you can't use like your favorite card in the game because it's just not that good right now. It hurts. It hurts my heart. But so Mono Fire's a thing, and I know the Mono Fire Warrior of Light is a deck that is a lot. People are like talking about it, like you kind of hear it as like a whisper. The wind says at midnight. But like you don't see anybody playing it, or you just don't see it at top tables. Is that just because does it just fold up to these these wind water decks? Does it just fold up to I mean, I feel like a lot of these smaller forwards just kind of fold up to Dotto Cactar.
Well, I mean, I think the issue is it's not that consistent. I think that's the problem.
No, that's also very fair.
I mean, it's got the tribal theme, which is nice. Like you can do some cool stuff with Light Wool, but when you're playing Light Wool, that means you can't play like Yuri. Usually it's trying to play like pretty fast and get in your face to the point where like Dotto decks die before they get set up. But I mean, it can't consistently do it enough, I think, to win enough games to consistently be in these top cuts. I mean, it's not a terrible deck. It's fine. It's something you should probably think about if you're going to an event because I think people are playing it. And I think it's probably the best Mono Fire deck. But the big Fire deck too is something that I've been messing with also. I mean, it's obvious that like you're gonna win more probably right now if you're playing wind cards, but like that doesn't mean like that's the only thing to play, I guess.
Well, play 3 Edgars in your Fire deck; it'll change your life. Now the other thing too, Kody, you mentioned Mono Water Fusoya is something that's still very popular at your locals. Why do you think that that deck's kind of fallen off? Is it just what is it that is keeping it from staying in these conversations with these wind decks? And like, are more people just kind of they're taking the Mono Water and they're just going wind water with Yuri and Chelinka? Or talk to me. Why do you think that it's not as prevalent as it was before?
I think it still is very popular. I think one thing definitely setting it back is the backup Aerith, the Legend, the 3-drop. Just stopping Fusoya is kind of a big deal. And then I think people are starting to get used to like playing the deck. Obviously, the deck can still just crush ice with the free Famfrits and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But no, I think it's still a very good deck. I just think people are starting to see that Earth Wind is just superior to pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think just to add on to what he's saying, like I think the issue with Fusoya, and while it's still a really good deck, and in my opinion it's like right below the top 3, it's like you know what it is at this point, right? And the deck lists aren't that different from one another. Like it's pretty what's the word I'm looking for?
It's very
refined.
It's kind of stock. Yeah,
it's super refined. Everybody's running basically the same list with like sub 1 or 2 cards. Like I'm not even kidding. Like like you look at Fusoya list and it's like 48 cards are like the same. And the only thing that changes is like how many Halicarnassus are you running, which Leviathan are you running, and then that's really it.
Yep. No, that's a fair assessment. And another deck that you were talking about, was Tempo Ice. It does, because we have Ron here locally playing it, and he does very well against all the wind variations and stuff like that. But it seems like he runs 8 Bellis in his deck and has like 9 Sephiroths, and he always has them on the turns that he needs them. So, do you think Ice, like that? I know you mentioned that kind of the first one. Do you think that Tempo Ice is still, because if you look at tournament results, you're finding these Ice decks, they're in like the top 4 if you look at some of these local events or these events that are taking place. But it seems like it's still just getting beaten out by Earth Wind. What do you think they're missing that's keeping, or do you think just people just don't want to play Ice because of the whole Ice has kind of gotten a bad rap in this game, if that makes any sense? And do you think that's a reason, or do you think just they're just missing a piece?
Well, technically they are missing a piece. Like Thaumaturge used to put in a lot of work for that matchup, like specifically that matchup. Like when I played Zach and Sam at Kansas, like that was the thing that was keeping me in the game, was being able to keep their hand low and be able to party attack over their big stuff. So, which obviously I don't want to. We don't need discard coming back that heavy anyhow.
Right.
But no, I think Earthwind's always going to be like the villain against Ice, or maybe the good guy against Ice, to be honest.
No, that's fair.
But also, like Mono Water Fusoya also is keeping it down, because that deck is kind of like a one-sided. Like you win pretty easily once you get set up with water. And
then we start looking at some other decks here that like Mono Lightning has always been a thing. That's another deck that just seems like it kind of comes and goes with the wind. You have Scions, which I still think are a very, very powerful deck. As much as I can even answer this one. I think people don't play it because it's extremely derpy and very it's a deck that's super, super effective, but it literally plays itself. You just have to have hands to draw the cards when you're supposed to.
Yeah, I definitely think Scions is still very good, and even Mono Lightning I still think is pretty good. They're definitely like decks you don't want to sleep on, because they will be at tournaments, definitely.
I agree with that.
Scions, I think, honestly takes quite a bit of skill to play. Not to disagree with you totally, but no, I think I wouldn't feel comfortable playing a Scion deck just because I haven't played it enough. Just because there's not every game you're gonna open like a Alpha Nod, Louis Soir, or anything like that. Like the games where you open like Cryo is your only backup with no Earth cards and stuff like that. No,
and that's a fair assessment. Because that's always been the deck's biggest problem, is the colors can get a little clunky, and knowing how to kind of overcome maybe like a misstep, because all you have to do with this deck is with Scions, all you have to do is turn the corner, because once you go like Papalimo, Yida, Y'shtola, and once you get your opponent on like that 4th point of damage, you're probably just going to win.
Right, yeah. And then I think the deck also there's a lot of variety, so maybe people haven't figured out like the perfect list. Like I've seen like a lot of lists with like the EX burst summons, but then you got to cut out like certain like techs that people were playing, like Wall and Alua and like Dark Cecil, or Cecil with the Dark special ability.
Yeah, the monsters are a thing too. Like people are some are running Urianger, some aren't. Some run like Dragon, some run Coral, some run Zapped, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen Coral a lot more in those lists too. So, and
also too, other decks that people, a boogeyman from memories past, monsters. Be it the mono water variety or, some variation of the tricolor. Like these are decks that, maybe they're poised for a comeback, or do you think there's just too many cards now that keep those strategies in check?
I mean, I could take that one. I think the traditional 3-color monster deck is going to have a hard time ever coming back, I think. Every time they just print cards, like once they printed Ramu, it was pretty rough for that deck, to be honest. I think mono water monsters is still okay. But do you really want to play a format right now where you're not playing any summons? And I don't know if you want to do that. Like, Cleone is great. And also, it's even better when you run up against these decks that are only running, like, Diabolus and, like, Phoenix. Like, it shuts those decks down pretty hard. Because, like, they're never going to get to play any summons. But other than that, like, if you run into something with, like, cheap summons like Fusoya or something, like, you're just, like, Cleone doesn't even matter. I tried like a different 3-color monster build with like Legendary Sarah, and it was pretty successful, but it's still, I don't feel like it's still hard to compete, and I feel like you have to try so much harder than your opponent.
Right, and I also think a card like Sin, like
Sin too, yeah. I mean, more people
monsters
are playing
become a thing. They just slam Sin, and all that setup and everything you just did is for nothing.
Yep, it's gonna be something you have to play around, just like playing around Shantoto, pretty much. Except it's more expensive. I mean, the Japan players are seeing success though with Water Earth, and I think if like that's what you want to like, if you want to play monsters, I think that's the deck you should look at right now. Is like the Water Earth. And they're only running like Green Dragon and Potcats.
Yeah.
And then they're running like they're running Siltra. So I mean, but it's won like 2 or 3 events now. So.
Yeah, I've seen that list. It's weird. And like when I see these other lists winning, and another list that I've actually been enjoying a lot that wanted again, we're going back to these Japanese lists, but I know Earth Wind gets played over there. The meta decks that we know get played over there. That Fire Ice Waff aggro deck, like that thing is really, really good. I think the problem is I don't think there's kind of like what Kody was saying with some of the other decks, like with Scion specifically, that formula, like the 50 for that deck hasn't really been figured out yet. So it'll win by catching people off guard, but I think there's still more ways to optimize it. And I just think right now, like people maybe don't want to take the time to try to optimize a deck, because they're worried they're just going to run into 5 rounds of Wind Water, or 5 rounds of Mono Wind, or 5 rounds of Wind Earth, and maybe they won't feel they'll get to test that deck the way they want to, if that makes sense.
I think it takes a lot more tweaking to find a good aggro deck in this game too. Like, I mean, like really aggro, like low to the like Turbo was a well-oiled machine. Like it was good because it was consistent and killed you fast.
And you got to figure it took around 2 sets to really get that deck to the well-oiled machine that it was.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't feel like that Fire Ice deck or the Mono Fire Warrior Light deck is well-oiled enough to be consistent enough to beat down these like tempo and control decks, really.
That have been just established since like Opus 2, Opus 3.
And that's not to say that it's not there. Like, people could probably put time in and maybe make it work, but also, I mean, you might just be putting time in just to figure out that Earthwind still beats you, So.
Well, and it just goes back to, not to, sit there and ride Earthwind's deals, into the sunset here, but they just have all the tools. They have backup destruction all across the board. They've got just really oppressive forwards. They've got access to like the best summons currently. And when you can say the same thing with Wind Water, like the Wind Water is just such a card advantage machine. I feel like if you're playing that deck right, you should never have like less than 3 cards in your hand.
I mean, the summon package in that is probably the best in my opinion. Like in Wind Water, like everything's just free. Basically, it gets really nutty.
Yeah, and Kody, I've seen your business card. It says Wind Water Expert on there. What are your thoughts on where that stands? But now we're kind of talking about the big 3. As far as where those go, where do you think Wind Water stands against that and like other decks in the meta?
I actually put Wind Water at the top, in my opinion.
Nice.
But then again, that also could depend on like level of competition that I've like. If playing on Untap, I can't like justify that that's like the kind of competition I'm going to see at like a Crystal Cup or anything like that.
I mean, I think it's got to be that or Earthwind. Like, I don't think either person picking either one of those is wrong. I think Mono Wind is definitely a rung below those 2. And it's not by much. I think Mono Wind's a lot easier to play than the other 2 decks, which is, I think, why people will gravitate toward it. But I think you get way more options just by adding in the YRP stuff into your deck. And then if you want to play like Dodaluma, that's still pretty unfair,
Yeah, and with that being said, like I completely agree with you that it has the best summon package in the game, with Diabolos, Valafor, but also like I have to tech, like I'm teching for Earthwind, so like I'm a big fan of Minwoo, so like that's always gonna be in my Wind Water decks. But even more recently, I've also been starting to add Aerith. It kind of takes away from like the consistency of just having like 5 backups that I always want down, so I kind of got to adjust some of the numbers.
Yep.
But you just tech for some of those. That way you don't have to deal with like Fusoya and Dataluma pings and stuff like that.
Now, are you running like the Crystal Chronicles focus one? I guess what kind of been dubbed Rob style from UK. Are you running like the Yuri, Chelinka, Allenhelm, all that you're running that package at all, or are you kind of going to the way you've always played it, more almost like more standard unit kind of focused, or?
It's not the Yuri. It's not the full Yuri package yet, but I do have that sleeved up now. Just because I was able to catch up after Christmas break, I listened to like the Crystal Tower, and I heard them guys like their last 2 episodes. And I was like, oh, maybe I should give that a shot. And I also think it's interesting that people have like started to not play Layla Viking, which I've wanted to do that for a while. Just it felt like the list was so consistent that I didn't want to take it out. But now that I see that it can win, it's like, oh, okay.
I think the big thing, and I've said this a couple times, is that Porum, if you're running Porum as zero replacement, only takes up 3 cards in your deck instead of 6.
Right, which is like huge.
Yeah.
Like even if I would have thought of that before Nationals, like you guys know, I only played 1 Y'shtola, and it was like a nightmare, like trying to get it out. Obviously, like when we were testing against the Turbo matchup, so like playing 3 Porum, I can easily play 3 Y'shtola, or like I can add in more Barbarecia. Or like
the only thing it really devalues is Cloud of Darkness and Fanfrit. That's really it.
I've had a lot of times where I have like a great forward on the board, and I hit a Fanfrit EX, and I'm just like, oh. Well.
Yeah, you just don't use it, yeah.
Yeah, you just don't use it.
It's definitely not as strong in Windwater as it is in, like, Fasoya, because you set it up with Fasoya, right? But, like, in Windwater, it's not as good, especially if you're not running Layla Viking, and it's something, like, I don't even think Rob ran it in his deck. I don't think
Nah, he just ran 3 Diabolos, 3 Valafor, and 3 Kukullens. That was it. That was his summon pack. And that's what I'm running too. It's really strong.
Yeah, mine has Fanfrit in it, but, like, yeah, I could see you just cutting it out. And did he have 1 Cloud of Darkness or 0?
1. It was 1-1, but apparently it came out of the deck like immediately after the tournament for a second Halicarnassus.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know I've still got the 1 in my deck, and it never has felt good. Like I'm just going to pitch this so I can play this Una backup, which is what I really want to do in the first place. So yeah, I agree. Windwater is really hard to play. Like I'm learning how to play it now, and I mess up all the time. And when you see that mess up, you're like, wow, I could have just won the game here if I would have done this instead of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you could say that about both of those decks, the Windwater and Earthwind. I think they're both pretty tricky to play properly. I mean, obviously, you can get dealt hands where you're just like, I'm going to win this game, and it doesn't matter. But, like, they like to navigate properly, especially Windwater with, like, sequencing properly to make sure you efficiently use your CP is a big deal. Whereas, like, Mono Wind, like, it's definitely a top-tier deck, but it's, like, it's pretty consistent because it's 1 color, and it kind of almost plays itself to an extent. There are definitely lines and stuff. I'm not saying it's, like, super easy, but it's definitely the easier of the 3. No,
I agree with that. So, is that, I guess, when we're, kind of sum this all up, you're talking about, like, these decks, they're super consistent, but they take they kind of have a high skill bar to start playing them effectively. Do you think that's maybe where like the disconnect is? Because you have all these other decks that people just aren't exploring. Do you think they're just kind of taking the time to learn these 2 decks to be more efficient at them going into this competitive season? At least the Petite Cup half, because Opus 8 will be legal once the Crystal Cup start.
I mean, I've been experimenting pretty heavily outside of the top 3. Like, I'm not playing any of those 3 at the Petite Cup. I mean, I'm playing Rebels. That's what I've been testing. And it's tested pretty well against the big 3. I mean, obviously, I'm worried about a couple things, but it's felt pretty good overall. And it's another deck that's not easy to play.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's like 4 colors. So, but I mean, Sid 2's still really nuts, I think. And
I'm glad you said that too, because I think that Rebels was a deck that was top tier. The only thing that stopped it was Turbo Ice. Like that deck just cannot play against Turbo Ice. It just can't.
Yeah, and I mean, another card now that kind of messes with it is Sephiroth. I mean, it has a hard time recovering from a really well-timed Sephiroth, I think. So, but I mean, it has access to a lot of things, and it's definitely something that I don't think people are going to be very experienced playing against. Well, and I still have access to like this, pretty powerful summons right now.
Yep, no, I agree with that 100%. So I guess what we're saying is there is still a lot to be prepared for. Like you when you go to a tournament, you need to be prepared to play against the win decks, but don't think that it's an automatic loss if you show up with something else. Like you can bring like another deck that I'm really fond of right now is the Earth Fire Warrior of Light deck. It's the only deck that I've actually seen Lon be an effective card in, and there's a video coming up after the reunion where I'm gonna have people try to change my mind on that one. But like I think that deck is really really good, and it can hold its own. It doesn't really care about cards like Donnaluma because you have all these you're cryo specialing their board every time they try to get something going. But it just takes to look at these other decks, and you can find success in this very win dominated meta. But I think it does take some time. It's going to be some refining that maybe people just don't want to do right now. That's kind of where my headspace is, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And Kody, with that being said, what are you playing right now? If you're going to your local, what have you got sleeved up?
Windwater.
Windwater, that's fair.
Well,
that is fair.
I usually now I'm carrying 3 decks on me. So it's
keep that thing on your hip.
Yeah, so it's Earth, Wind, Windwater, and Mono Fire at the moment. Now I still have Ice sleeved up. I just don't have a fancy deck box for it at the moment. So
yeah,
that's fair.
I carry around a pretty good. I mean, I carry around Mono Fire, Rebels, Wind, Water, Mono Water, Festoia, and what's my last? Oh, Mono Ice. Those are the decks that I have sleeved up right now.
Nice.
So, I mean, I've been testing a lot of stuff outside the top 3. I've played enough Earth Wind. I think I don't want to.
Yeah. Like I said at the top of this, I bought the pieces so I can sleeve it up and play it. But like right now, I'm playing Wind Water, the Earth Fire Wool, Shota Ramza deck, which I think is still a very very powerful deck, and the Fire Ice Waft deck. That's kind of become the more efficient version of Old Reliable because turns out Saban's just not a good card anymore. It hurts. I need an intervention.
No, I think it's still a very good forward. It's just
it
just gets outclassed right now.
I still like it in the Earth Fire deck that we have, but I mean, again, are you going to bring that to a big event? I don't know.
No, I would not. Not yet. Not without a bunch of reps and a lot of refinement. But I mean, that's really about it. Like I said, the meta is still wide open in a field full of, I guess, 2 or 3 boogeymen. There's still a lot you can play, and with the competitive season starting, this weekend, there's a lot that you can play and still find success. So just don't be discouraged if you go to a tournament and you're going against 4 or 5 rounds of Wind Water or Wind Earth. Know that you can play something else and still do very well. Because who knows, other people may be on that same mindset, or Wind Earth could become the next Turbo where people just don't want to play it. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's going to become that because I do think the skill level is still high on it. But and not to say like Turbo, toward the end had a very high skill level too. But
I agree.
What am I trying to say? If someone asked me like the meta in this game, I would tell them that there's a very clear top 3, maybe even like top 4 or 5.
Sure.
But there's so many decks that could win a tournament right now, I think. That, to me, that's still extremely healthy. I mean, obviously, like, those 3 to 5 are going to have, like, probably better matchups than most stuff. But they're not just going to, like, straight up dominate everything. So, but people are going to gravitate toward them because they're going to probably be the higher win rate decks. So,
no, that makes a lot of sense. But no, I think that's kind of where we're gonna wrap it up today. I can't wait to see everybody at the reunion. Kody, are you going to be at the reunion, or is that something you're going to have to miss?
Unfortunately, I will not be at the reunion.
Oh, that's sad. I'm going to put you I'm going to have you on FaceTime on my phone, and I'm just going to carry you around my neck the whole time so you can be part of the gang.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll definitely be in the Twitch chat and watching probably the whole time.
Love that. So what do you we're going to give you a quick Swami says. You pretty much have an idea of who all is going to be there. What deck do you think wins the whole thing? And is there a player you think could win the whole thing?
I'm trying to think of everybody who's going in my head. Adam, you're playing, correct?
I'm playing, yeah.
That's a tough question.
The hard-hitting stuff, man.
I'd like to see something out of the top 3 win. So maybe something like Ice Earth, which I know we haven't really talked about much, but I think that's still like the California boys could just show up and take it with that. I don't know how many of the Cali guys are going.
Yeah, I don't either.
Actually, I don't either.
Or even if is Hunter Nance going?
Hunter's there.
Yes.
Hunter's there.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely see him winning with some kind of Ice Earth Flan deck. Which would make I think that'd be awesome, just because I think it could put that into the consideration of top 3 or 4 decks, which I think it should.
No, I agree with that.
I think the deck is strong. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say Hunter Nance with Ice Earth. That's what.
Man, the ranch master himself going to start 2019 off strong. You heard it here first. The Swami says.
But I don't know if he's actually playing Ice Earth, so don't quote me on that.
It's probably a good bet, honestly, but he might not be. But it's probably a good bet.
No, hopefully I didn't mess up and give away his secret.
He's going to show up with mono win and just trash everybody.
That's not much of a secret anymore. Hunter on Ice Earth is not much of a secret anymore.
Yeah, he'll tell you how much he loves it. That's for sure. Or he'll go way out of the box and dust off Alifor Control and bring that.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be bringing that.
Well, you never know. He is a wild card. But that's all we've got today. I mean, any parting thoughts from anybody before we call it a wrap? Because unfortunately, I've got to go to work, and I don't want to, but I got to.
I just want to say thanks for letting me join in late. Next time I will definitely be on time.
Nah, man. Anytime you want to be on our podcast, man, you are more than welcome to. You are one of the best friends of this show, and anytime you want to be on, man, just hit us up. We'd love to have you. Just to shoot the shit. We can talk wrestling. We can talk cards. I'll sit here for 2 hours and just talk wrestling with you.
No, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And just for clarification, for any of the old-time fans out there, this is my second episode on the podcast.
He was on Gen Con.
Yeah.
Was he on the Gen Con episode?
Yep.
I was part of the live roundtable.
Oh, shit. Yeah, he was. Man, you're absolutely right. Well, hell.
Yeah, but that's all right. That was the dinner night, so...
That was the dinner night. You were on that one. Oh, I completely forgot. That was such a great podcast.
You had a bottle of wine. It happened.
It was a good day. That's right. You were there with Andy, Jonathan, and Eric. We had Eric on that episode. That's right. Now it's all, as Celine Dion once said, it's all coming back to me now. I can't think of a better way to go ahead and cut the feed on that one.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening once again to the RVA Returners podcast. If you like this content and you want to hear more, check us out on YouTube at RVA Returners, and make sure you follow us on SoundCloud and check us out on Google Play and iTunes.